Here's a quote, "I've got a surprise." That's the way my father announced live on air the start of what would become one of the greatest humanitarian organizations in the world, Operation Blessing. And no one was more surprised than his co-host, Ben Kinchlow, and the entire CBN staff.
Well, over the past 45 years, Operation Blessing has brought food, water, medical care, and other relief to people in need all around the world, as well as right here in the United States. George Thomas has more.
Barbara Johnson, Pat's former longtime secretary and close confidant, remembers the moment Operation Blessing came to be.
The first any of us knew anything about it was the morning he came in and announced it on the 700 Club.
November 14th, 1978, Pat told co-host Ben Kinchlow,
"I've got a surprise. There are a lot of people in this audience who maybe need food, who need shelter, who need clothing. There are also a lot of people in our audience who have an extra suit, more food than they need, extra shelter, something that they can provide to those people." Okay. So why don't we put them all together?
That idea became known as Operation Blessing and soon grew into one of the country's largest humanitarian organizations, even catching the attention of President Ronald Reagan.
CBN and the 700 Club's Operation Blessing. They've given nearly $2.5 million to more than 8,500 churches, and this money is then matched by the local churches.
45 years later, Operation Blessing continues to touch lives around the world, providing hunger relief, clean water, medical care, and disaster relief to countless communities in desperate need.
We've been making an impact on the lives of millions of people in more than 90 countries and territories, including the United States.
When disasters hit, Operation Blessing is often the first to respond and the last to leave.
Our OB teams continue to provide medical assistance and micro-enterprise projects in earthquake-hit Turkey and distribute food supplies to communities in Guam following the devastating Typhoon Mawar.
OB work in Ukraine continues more than a year after war started there.
We are the hands of mercy of Jesus in this time.
Here in the United States, wherever disaster strikes, Operation Blessing jumps into action, bringing with them an army of volunteers and supplies to meet needs.
Last year alone, Operation Blessing helped over 300 families living in the United States recover from natural disaster. Operation Blessing also delivered over 1 million pounds of urgent disaster relief supplies to those families who were in desperate need right here at home.
Pat says inspiration for starting Operation Blessing came from the words of Isaiah 58.
He said, if you'll draw out your bread to the poor, if you'll look after the hungry, if you'll clothe the naked, if you'll take the homeless into your house, he says, then, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to answer your prayer. You're going to call and I'll answer you. Your righteousness will go before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your rear guard. I'm going to look after you.
And for Operation Blessing, it's more than just meeting physical needs.
OB delivers something even more profound, the good news of God's boundless love. And it is in this message of love that ignites a spark of hope within the hearts of those in desperate situations, reminding them that they are not alone in their struggles.
More than 4 decades and counting, OB continues to be a strategic force in compassionate relief.
What an incredible legacy that is. It's all traced back to the passion and the vision of our founder, Pat Robertson, and his dream of having a world-class humanitarian ministry that would be used by God to bring the kingdom of God and the love of God to millions of people around the world.
George Thomas, CBN News.
Wow, that is an incredible story. I remember when it first started, the staff complaining and saying, well, how in the world are we going to do this and do a daily television show and launch this network, all these other things that you want to do. And he was quite direct in saying, well, just put it on a Rolodex. That's all you have to do. Just, have somebody with a need and somebody with a supply and match them up. It's really simple. He liked to simplify things in walking out the details sometimes on the vision. He left that work to others like Terry Meeuwsen.
You know, really, you just love that about him. There are people who don't know him well who would say, what an audacious suggestion. You know, you can say that about a university, you can say that about OB, you can say that about what we do here. But with the Lord, it becomes obedience. It's not audacious, it's obedience. And he was willing to take that and run with it.
He was just reading Isaiah, his normal habit of reading the Bible in the morning, praying. And that verse just leapt off the stage. This is the fast. This is what I want you to do. I want you to share your food with the hungry. I want you to clothe the naked. I want you to provide housing for people. And if you do these things, when you call, I will answer. And Dad said, okay, let's do that. Let's start Operation Blessing.